Hi guys, this is Sam. Welcome back to my channel. Today, let's talk about all the amazing fantasy books I am going to read in March. March is going to be epic. As you can remember from my 2025 reading plan, I am going to read 4 books every month, but this time in March, it is filled with epic fantasy series. It is a bit of a challenge for me because as we all know, every epic fantasy book is going to be dense and thick. But here I wanna push myself a little bit and keep up with my reading goal. In this TBR, I will put these 4 books into 3 categories. Series I wanna keep on reading, series I wanna start in 2025, and balancing this TBR with a slightly shorter fantasy book. By the way, I am thinking to make like a spoiler read-along with one of these books. I may need your advice there, but I will talk about it later when I get to that particular book. I think it will be so much easier to start with all the series that I wanna keep on reading. First of all, it's the most exciting one. If I finish this book, it will mean that this series will become my first fantasy series to finish in 2025. I have To Green Angel Tower Part 2 by Ted Williams, the 4th and the last book of the Memory, Sorrow and Thorn series. It is such a long journey because every book in this series has been massive. I always struggle to introduce a book that is like a sequel or maybe like this one so far into the series. But in short, Memory, Sorrow and Thorn is about our main character, Simon, who is like a kitchen boy working in a castle. One day his life turned upside down because he discovered a conspiracy in this castle. Because of this, he has to leave the castle and start his own journey. With this adventure, Simon would meet different companions, including the mythical ones, and realize his position in this battle between good and evil. What I do love about this series so far is how much our main character has grown. The growth of Simon is so significant from the first book to the 3rd book, and it means he has learned a lot on this journey. From a blank paper in the castle to the position he is going to hold in the 3rd book, it just shows you how much he cares now. Also starting from the 2nd book, there will be chapters about the side characters. They are all very entertaining and exciting. It also expands and explains the world further. The ending of the 3rd book is such a cliffhanger. I can't wait to see what Simon will encounter on this new journey or the mess he escaped from. I honestly can't wait to find out the ending of this series. I have a feeling it is going to be epic because the build-up in the 1st book is just so long. We have so many pieces on the board now and it is the time to put them together. The next epic fantasy series I want to work on is quite intimidating to me. I just heard too many times this one is going to be the worst of the series as reflected on Goodreads as well. Here we have Crossroads of Twilight by Robert Jordan, the 10th book of the Wheel of Time series. I know I am holding Winter's heart here because I just haven't got the copy of the next book yet, which reminds me I have to do so. Again, it is just too difficult to try to summarize what had happened in this series so far in just this TBR video. In a very short term, the wheel weaves as the wheel wills. It is the good old battle between the good and the evil. The center of this war is our main character, Rand, aka the Dragon Reborn, aka the Chosen One. Throughout this series, we will see this little guy from middle of nowhere to become the person he has to be. Alongside with Rand, there is a huge, and I mean huge cast of characters representing different powers from different places. The plot has just expanded so much since the very first book, and there are just a lot of details. Let's say the world building, the character development, or all the complex relationship between the characters or different powers. Coming to the not ninth but the 10th book, What people criticize the most is about the plot, which is barely there. Rather than some very major plot development, the 10th book is going to be like a set piece for the rest of the series. With how Winter's Heart and Crossroads of Twilight is like a compilation of reaction coming from different characters. Of course, there's gonna be Rand, the Dragon Reborn in the 10th book. Perrin will also be there because there are some build-up in Winter's Heart for him which we got no answer. This time I hope we have a resolution about it. Matt in this book was like living somewhere with someone important to him, and at last we finally got some chapters about Egwene, which is like a character that is present in the story but we don't have any chapters from her yet. It's been such a long time. I honestly have no idea how bad the 10th book gonna be like. I just know that if I get through that book, the rest of the series is going to be great, it's going to be epic, it's going to be so rewarding. So I guess I can't skip the 10th book here. The Wheel of Time and Memory, Sorrow and Thorn are the two series that I want to keep on reading. So now we are moving to a brand new epic fantasy series. I have mentioned this series in my 2025 reading plan. It is a series I plan to complete by the end of the year, and it is also a series that not too many people have talked about. So here we are, we have the Echoes Saga by Philip C. Quaintrell, and the first book of this series is Rise of the Rangers. I know they are still in the original paper wrapping, so I guess it is the time to do some unboxing together. I have been waiting for this moment for so long. By the way, I hope the first book in the front is the first book of the series. I don't want to unwrap them and find out it is not the book I want. It will be so disappointing. So let's do it together. Take this bookmark out and it is not even the same series. It is the other self-published epic fantasy series. Shrink. Whee! So this is the one on the front, and I hope it is the Rise of the Rangers. This is the most satisfying part. I'm the kind of person that don't want to really damage the original wrapping, but I know some people would just tear it apart like this, but I just can't do so. It's a long one. It is not the Rise of the Rangers. I don't want to unwrap them and find out it is not the book I want. It would be so disappointing.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
So if the third book is in the front, does it mean the one in the back is the first book? Let's see. Yes, it is the first book. It is the other way around. Here we go. We have Rise of the Rangers here, the first book of the Echoes Saga. And this one is also signed by the author. By the way, I get it from the Broken Binding, the normal shop, not the one for the special edition. So if you haven't heard about the Echoes Saga before, it is an epic fantasy series that got 9 books in total. It is gaining popularity in the fantasy community because of the fast-paced storytelling, large-scale battles, and a mix of traditional and modern fantasy tropes. What you can expect from this series, very obviously, from the title of this book, POVs from the Rangers, Dragons, Elves, and even legendary warriors. There will also be ancient prophecy, a rising darkness, and a world that is on the brink of war. From here, the vibe I can get is so close to the Bound and the Broken series by Ranker Hill, another self-published epic fantasy series that I am totally into. In the first book, Rise of the Rangers, a rising darkness would trigger a chain of events that would shape the future of this world. And in here, we're gonna follow our main character, Reed, a ranger, who is like a silent assassin who got drawn into a war. There will also be other characters like elves, warriors, sorcerers that will play their part to unfold a prophecy. All this would uncover the hidden secrets of this empire. This book is going to be fast-paced, which I do like. Morally great character, something that I started to love. Mix of military fantasy and adventure of a classic fantasy feel. Huge take. I am so looking forward to dive into this series because on paper, it promises quite a lot, and I want to find out is it true or not. In here, I have a question for you guys, which I did mention earlier in the beginning. I do want to make a spoiler read-along with this series, but here I am thinking, shall I make a video for every book? But I am kind of worried if we are getting further into the series, how many people would watch it? Or there are 9 books in this series. Maybe I can make a video for every 3 books? Or do you prefer if I just make a complete reading vlog for the whole series, documenting me reading every single book of this series? But you need to wait until the end of the year to watch it. Do feel free to share your thoughts in the comment to see which format do you prefer more. I will see which one is easier for me to make or which one you do enjoy more. But still, I am going to complete this series by the end of the year. If you do some really simple calculation, there are 9 books in this series and I read a book from this series every month. Then I will be able to complete the Echoes Saga by the end of 2025. This gives me such a motivation to keep on reading this series and not missing anything out. This is on top of my priority list or in my monthly TBR. Coming to the last book of this TBR, it is a slightly shorter one compared to all those fantasy breaks I have. This is the Bands of Mourning by Sanderson, the 3rd book of the Mistborn Era 2. In the 2nd book, we got some reviews about the past of our main characters, Wax. And I still can't believe everything in the 2nd book took place just overnight. It is really exciting, it is really captivating. This time in the 3rd book, of course, it is still going to be about Wax and Wing. They will investigate the legendary Bands of the Mourning. In short, it is like a relic that can give you a very powerful ability. Other than this pair of good old friends, Marisi and Staris will also join this adventure outside Elendil, deep into the lands of southern Scardrians. On this journey, they will discover some secrets and mysteries that are so important to their world. I would expect this one is going to be a slightly easier read compared to the last 3 because this is written by who? Sanderson. This book gonna be full of actions, full of humors, full of unexpected twists. Finishing this one would mean that I am a step closer to Wind and Truth, which is the latest book in the Stormlight archive. Like I said many times already, and I don't want to be a broken record, I want to catch up with everything in the Cosmere first before jumping to the ending, a conclusion of an era. Now I'm just missing the Mistborn Era 2, so not too long to go. So these are all the books I want to read in March. 2 very massive epic fantasy books, 1 series I want to start in 2025, and a slightly shorter one to balance everything out. By the way, what's on your March TBR? Are you like me, reading a lot of epic fantasy books, or do you have something totally different planned? You can share your TBR down in the comment below. So if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe to my channel Dandacy so you won't miss anything from me. I'll see you all real soon. Goodbye. They're heavy.